In the heart of the Oyo Kingdom, the grand estate of the Kasimu family stood tall, a symbol of wealth and power. The estate was surrounded by lush gardens, fountains that sparkled in the sunlight, and a mansion that gleamed with opulence. Inside, the Kasimu family enjoyed a life many could only dream of. Chief Adewale Kasimu, the patriarch, was known throughout the kingdom as a shrewd businessman and a generous benefactor. His wife, Mama Tolu, was equally admired for her beauty and grace. However, in the shadows of this golden cage lived Nnamdi, their most trusted servant. Nnamdi was a silent observer, watching the family from the corners of the grand halls. To the world, he was loyal and diligent, but beneath his calm exterior lay a tempest of resentment. He had grown up in the Kasimu household, but unlike the family he served, he had been dealt a cruel hand. His parents had been loyal subjects of Chief Adewale but were betrayed for profit, sold into slavery years ago. Every day, as he polished the silverware and arranged the flowers, Nnamdi's mind replayed the memories of that fateful night. He had hidden under the floorboards as his parents were taken away, their cries echoing in his ears. The pain of loss became a part of him, igniting a fierce desire for justice that simmered just below the surface. Nnamdi watched as the Kasimu children, Obiola and Jide, frolicked in the gardens, oblivious to the shadows lurking in their father's past. They were good-hearted, yet they were also the products of their father's greed. Nnamdi often felt a pang of guilt for the resentment he harbored against them. They were innocent, but they were also part of the legacy he sought to dismantle. As the sun set behind the estate, casting long shadows across the opulent grounds, Nnamdi's heart raced with determination. He had spent years biding his time, waiting for the right moment to strike. Each day, he collected small pieces of information, observing the family's dealings and noting their weaknesses. With each revelation, his plan grew more elaborate. Tonight was different. Tonight, Nnamdi would begin to set his plan into motion. He would start to take back what was stolen from his family and expose the Kasimu family for who they truly were. The first step would be to uncover the secrets hidden within the walls of the grand estate. As he made his way to the library, a familiar sense of dread mixed with anticipation filled him. The moment he had long waited for was finally at hand. Nnamdi stood before the imposing oak doors of the library, his heart pounding with a mix of fear and excitement. The library was a treasure trove of knowledge and secrets, filled with books that whispered the stories of the past. As he pushed the heavy door open, the scent of aged parchment and polished wood enveloped him. The warm glow of the oil lamps illuminated the shelves lined with books, but Nnamdi's focus was not on the literature. He was searching for the remnants of a family history tainted with betrayal. He moved cautiously, ensuring no one could see him as he navigated the room. Dust motes danced in the light, and the sound of the ticking clock echoed in the silence. Nnamdi's hands trembled as he reached for a worn leather-bound book, its spine cracked and faded. He flipped through the pages, scanning for anything that could help him understand the depth of the Kasimu family's treachery. As he read, flashes of his past surged through his mind. He remembered the night of the betrayal vividly, a night forever etched in his memory. His father, a proud and hardworking man, had been a trusted advisor to Chief Adewale. They had shared a bond, or so Nnamdi had thought. But the truth had been revealed in the darkest way imaginable. Nnamdi recalled the ominous meeting in the chief's study. He had been hidden behind a curtain, peeking out to see his father arguing with Chief Adewale. His father had been furious, demanding justice for the injustices faced by their people. Chief Adewale had promised help, but it had all been a lie. That night, Nnamdi watched helplessly as his father's pleas fell on deaf ears, replaced by the cold steel of betrayal. The chief had sold his own people for gold, and Nnamdi's family paid the price. Tears welled in Nnamdi's eyes, but he quickly wiped them away. He couldn't afford to show weakness. He had to be strong, not just for himself but for his parents, who had suffered because of this family's greed. As he delved deeper into the library, Nnamdi stumbled upon a hidden compartment behind a row of books. With a swift motion, he pulled the books aside, revealing a small wooden box covered in dust. Nnamdi's heart raced as he opened the box, revealing old letters and documents. The letters were faded but legible, detailing trade agreements and alliances Chief Adewale had forged, many involving the sale of his own people. The further he read, the more anger boiled within him. Each letter was a testament to the chief's betrayal, a betrayal that had ripped families apart and left scars on the land. Among the letters, he found a parchment with a seal he recognized, the Kasimu family crest. It detailed a secret agreement made with another powerful family, one that involved sharing profits from the slave trade. Nnamdi felt a surge of adrenaline. This was the evidence he needed to expose Chief Adewale for the monster he was. Just then, the sound of footsteps echoed outside the library door, jolting Nnamdi back to reality. Panic surged through him. He quickly gathered the letters, stuffing them back into the box and shutting it just as the door creaked open. It was Jide, Chief Adewale's younger son, his face lit with youthful curiosity. "Hey, Nnamdi. What are you doing in here?" Jide asked, his eyes wide with surprise. "Just organizing some books, young master," Nnamdi replied, forcing a smile. "How about you?" "Father wants me to help with the preparations for the feast tonight," Jide said, oblivious to the tension in Nnamdi's voice. "Are you coming?" Nnamdi hesitated. The feast would be filled with laughter and music, a stark contrast to the darkness he had just uncovered. But he couldn't let Jide see his turmoil. "Of course," Nnamdi said, nodding. "I'll be right there." As he followed Jide out of the library, Nnamdi felt a renewed sense of purpose. He had found the evidence he needed, and now he would use it to destroy the Kasimu family from within. The first step of his plan was set in motion. The evening feast was a grand affair, filled with music, laughter, and the fragrant aromas of traditional dishes wafting through the air. The Kasimu estate was a spectacle of opulence, adorned with colorful fabrics and glistening decorations. Guests mingled in the grand hall, toasting to Chief Adewale's successes and the wealth he had accumulated over the years. Nnamdi watched from the sidelines, a silent observer amid the revelry, his heart heavy with the burden of his discovery. As he served drinks to the guests, Nnamdi kept an eye on Chief Adewale, who sat at the head of the long table, laughing heartily. The chief was a large man with a booming voice, exuding an air of confidence and authority that captivated those around him. However, Nnamdi could see the cracks beneath the surface. The chief's eyes darted nervously as he spoke with his guest, betraying the underlying tension of a man whose empire was built on lies. Amid the laughter, Nnamdi recalled the documents he had uncovered in the library. Each letter was a reminder of the lives Chief Adewale had sacrificed for his ambition. The thought ignited a fire within him. If he could exploit the chief's weaknesses, he could dismantle everything he had built. But how? Nnamdi needed a plan, one that would expose the chief while remaining in the shadows. As the feast continued, Nnamdi noticed Chief Adewale leaning closer to a well-dressed man with a thick beard, Mr. Femi, a powerful businessman with ties to the chief's illicit dealings. Their conversation was low and conspiratorial, the kind of discussion that sent chills down Nnamdi's spine. The chief's desire for wealth and power was evident in the way he leaned in, eager to secure another profitable deal. This was a weakness Nnamdi could exploit. The laughter around him faded as he focused on the conversation. Nnamdi crept closer, pretending to refill a nearby guest's drink while straining to hear their words. "Trust me, Adewale. With the right investments, we can double our profits. But we must act fast before anyone catches wind of our operations," Mr. Femi urged, his voice smooth and persuasive. "Of course, Femi. But what about the risks?" "I cannot afford to lose what I have," Chief Adewale replied, his voice laced with apprehension. Nnamdi's heart raced. Here it was, the chief's greed and fear laid bare before him. It was the perfect opportunity to turn the tide in his favor. With this knowledge, he could sow distrust between Chief Adewale and his allies, driving a wedge into the fragile foundation of his empire. As Nnamdi quietly moved away, he overheard Jide calling for him from across the hall. "Nnamdi, come join us. You can't just stand there all night." Jide waved him over with an enthusiastic smile. Nnamdi hesitated but then approached the table. "What is it, young master?" "We were just talking about the upcoming festival. You should tell us what you think." Jide beamed. Nnamdi forced a smile. "I think it will be a splendid occasion, just like tonight." The conversation flowed easily around him, but Nnamdi's mind was elsewhere. He had to gather more information, find out how deep Chief Adewale's dealings went, and figure out a way to leverage it against him. As the night wore on, Nnamdi found an opening when he overheard Chief Adewale excuse himself to the courtyard for some fresh air. Seizing the moment, Nnamdi slipped out of the hall, following the chief's path. The moon cast a silver glow over the estate, and the air was filled with the sounds of distant drums from the feast. Nnamdi found Chief Adewale leaning against the balustrade, staring out at the sprawling gardens, a look of worry etched across his face. It was a rare moment of vulnerability, and Nnamdi knew he had to seize it. "Chief Adewale," he said, stepping out of the shadows. The chief turned, surprise flickering in his eyes before it was replaced by annoyance. "What do you want, Nnamdi? Can't you see I need a moment of peace?" "I understand, sir," Nnamdi replied, keeping his tone respectful. "But I couldn't help but notice you seemed troubled during dinner." "Troubled? Nonsense. I have a thriving business and loyal friends," Chief Adewale snapped, but the tension in his voice betrayed his facade. "Perhaps, sir, but I believe there are matters that could threaten everything you've built," Nnamdi said, his voice low and measured. The chief stiffened, his eyes narrowing. "What are you implying?" "I have heard whispers, Chief. Whispers of discontent among your partners, of rivalries that could jeopardize your investments," Nnamdi said, planting the seeds of doubt. The chief's brow furrowed. "You dare to suggest that my business is at risk? Who have you been talking to?" Nnamdi took a breath, weighing his words. "Just an observation, sir. You are not the only player in this game, and sometimes, it's the trusted who betray you." Chief Adewale stared at him for a moment, processing the implications of Nnamdi's words. "You think you can intimidate me with your words, servant?" "No, sir. I only speak to protect what you hold dear," Nnamdi said, the truth of his words hanging in the air between them. "Very well, Nnamdi. But tread carefully. I don't take threats lightly," Chief Adewale warned, his voice a low growl. As Nnamdi turned to leave, he felt a sense of triumph swelling within him. He had planted a seed of doubt in the chief's mind, one that could grow into a full-blown crisis. Now, he just needed to watch it flourish. In the shadows, he vowed to expose Chief Adewale for the ruthless man he was. With each step back to the feast, Nnamdi felt the weight of his past fueling his resolve. The time for revenge was drawing near, and he was prepared to unleash it upon the Kasimu family. The atmosphere in the Kasimu estate shifted dramatically after Nnamdi's conversation with Chief Adewale. Whispers of doubt lingered like an uninvited guest, casting a shadow over the household. As Nnamdi resumed his duties, he felt the weight of his plans resting heavily on his shoulders. It was only a matter of time before he could execute his revenge. A few days later, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting golden hues over the estate, a stranger arrived at the gates. She was a striking woman named Olana, dressed in a flowing gown that whispered of elegance and mystery. Her deep-set eyes held a spark of intelligence that intrigued Nnamdi, even from a distance. As the guards ushered her inside, Nnamdi couldn't shake the feeling that her arrival was no coincidence. Nnamdi first laid eyes on Olana in the grand hall, where she was being introduced to Chief Adewale and his family. Her presence commanded attention, and the usual chatter of guests faded as she spoke. Her voice was smooth, like honey, weaving tales of her travels and successes. But Nnamdi noticed the undertones of her words, the way she carefully omitted certain details, hinting at a past intertwined with betrayal. As the night wore on, Nnamdi's curiosity about Olana deepened. He observed her interactions with the Kasimu family, particularly how she seemed to keep Chief Adewale on edge. There was something about her, an aura of calculated determination, that resonated with Nnamdi's own thirst for justice. Later that evening, while tidying up the dining area, Nnamdi overheard a conversation between Olana and Chief Adewale. They were seated in a secluded corner of the grand hall, their voices low but intense. "I've heard much about your dealings, Chief," Olana said, her tone both respectful and challenging. "You've built quite an empire, but at what cost?" The chief scoffed, his laughter harsh and mirthless. "Cost? Wealth doesn't come without sacrifices, my dear. You should know that. It's the way of the world." "Is it truly the way of the world to betray your own people?" Olana's voice was unwavering, and Nnamdi felt a thrill at her boldness. She was not afraid to confront the chief, and for that, he respected her. "Careful, lady," the chief warned, his voice lowering. "You tread on dangerous ground. This family doesn't take kindly to threats." Nnamdi's heart raced. Olana was playing a dangerous game, and he wondered if she was as fearless as she appeared. He had to find a way to speak with her, to learn more about her intentions. Perhaps they could align their goals and bring down the Kasimu family together. That night, after the guests had left and the estate fell into a hush, Nnamdi found an opportunity. He approached Olana in the garden, where she was admiring the moonlight filtering through the trees. "Lady Olana," he said, his voice steady but soft enough not to startle her. She turned, surprise flickering in her eyes before a knowing smile graced her lips. "Nnamdi, isn't it? The loyal servant to the Kasimu family." "Yes, but I am more than just a servant. I've been watching you, and I sense you have a reason for coming here," he said, taking a cautious step closer. "Curiosity can be dangerous, Nnamdi," she replied, her expression unreadable. "What do you seek?" "Justice," he replied, the words slipping out with conviction. "I want to see the Kasimu family pay for their wrongdoings. And I believe you do too." Olana studied him for a moment, her gaze piercing. "You're not the only one with a vendetta against them. But be careful. The more you dig, the more you risk losing everything." "I'm willing to take that risk," Nnamdi declared, his heart pounding with determination. "I've lost everything to their greed and betrayal." She nodded slowly, contemplating his words. "Perhaps we can help each other. I have my own reasons for seeking retribution against Chief Adewale and his family. I've seen the destruction they've caused, and I won't stand by." Nnamdi felt a flicker of hope ignite within him. This woman, this stranger, might hold the key to turning the tide against the Kasimu family. "What do you propose?" "Together, we can gather evidence of their wrongdoings, expose their treachery to the community, and watch their empire crumble from within," Olana suggested, her voice filled with purpose. Nnamdi's heart raced at the prospect. "I can access their records, the documents that prove their corruption. But we'll need to be careful. The chief is cunning." "Cunning, yes, but even the most cunning can be brought down by their arrogance," she replied, her eyes sparkling with determination. "We'll start small, create doubt among their allies and sow seeds of discord." As they plotted their next steps, Nnamdi couldn't shake the feeling that fate had intertwined their paths for a reason. With Olana by his side, he felt a surge of power and possibility. The Kasimu family's reign would not last forever. Together, they would unravel the web of lies and deceit, turning the tables on their oppressors. The night grew darker, but Nnamdi's spirit soared with the promise of what lay ahead. The stage was set for their revenge, and the game had only just begun. As dawn broke over the Kasimu estate, a new resolve filled Nnamdi's heart. He had found an unexpected ally in Olana, and together, they were determined to dismantle the empire built on betrayal. Their plan began to take shape, but first, Nnamdi knew he had to gather more information, details that could expose the dark secrets of the Kasimu family. With a sense of purpose, Nnamdi set about his daily duties, all the while keeping his eyes peeled for opportunities to gather intelligence. The estate, grand and sprawling, housed many rooms, each filled with history and hidden corners. While cleaning the library, he decided to search for anything that might aid their cause. The library was a vast room, lined with towering shelves that held countless books, some filled with knowledge, others with the ghost of the past. As Nnamdi dusted off a particularly old shelf, his fingers brushed against a section of the wall that felt different. It was slightly loose, and as he pressed against it, he felt a strange give. His heart raced with excitement as he pushed harder, revealing a hidden passage behind the shelves. The entrance was narrow and dark, almost as if it had been forgotten by time. Nnamdi's instincts kicked in, urging him to venture further into the unknown. What secrets lay hidden within? Taking a deep breath, he squeezed through the opening and found himself in a dimly lit chamber. The air was musty, filled with the scent of aged paper and forgotten memories. Torches flickered along the walls, casting dancing shadows that felt alive. As his eyes adjusted to the darkness, Nnamdi scanned the room. It was filled with old chests and crates, each bearing dust and neglect. He approached the first chest, and with great effort, he pried it open. Inside were stacks of faded documents, some yellowed with age. His pulse quickened. This was the information he needed. Nnamdi began to sift through the papers, his heart racing with each discovery. The documents detailed transactions that Chief Adewale had made over the years, involving properties, businesses, and even people. With every paper he read, the reality of the chief's ruthlessness struck him harder. One document caught his eye, a contract outlining the sale of land that had once belonged to his family. Anger surged through him as he realized the extent of Chief Adewale's treachery. He had not only destroyed Nnamdi's family but countless others in his quest for power. But there was more. Beneath the papers, he found an old, dust-covered diary. As he opened it, he recognized the handwriting as that of Chief Adewale's late wife. The entries were filled with her thoughts and observations about her husband's dealings. Her final entry sent chills down his spine. It revealed a pact Chief Adewale had made to protect the very people he had betrayed. Nnamdi felt the weight of the discovery settle on his shoulders. This diary could be the key to unraveling the chief's empire. It held the truth that could sway public opinion and turn the community against the Kasimu family. With determination, he carefully placed the diary and the crucial documents into a satchel he had brought along, knowing they would be vital to his plans with Olana. Just as he was about to leave, he heard footsteps approaching. Panic coursed through him as he ducked behind a stack of crates, his heart pounding in his chest. The door creaked open, and in walked Oyo, one of the other servants. Nnamdi held his breath, praying that Oyo would not discover him. Oyo wandered deeper into the room, his expression curious as he surveyed the hidden chamber. Nnamdi couldn't afford to be seen. He needed to think quickly. As Oyo leaned closer to a crate, Nnamdi seized the opportunity. He quietly slipped out of the passage, ensuring to remain unseen. Once outside, he breathed a sigh of relief. The last thing he needed was for Oyo to report his actions to Chief Adewale. Nnamdi hurried back to his quarters, adrenaline still coursing through him. He had what he needed, evidence that could bring the Kasimu family to their knees. But the risk was immense, and he had to be careful about how he proceeded. Later that evening, Nnamdi met with Olana in the garden, the moon casting a silver glow over their meeting place. He couldn't wait to share his discoveries with her. "Olana," he whispered urgently, glancing around to ensure they were alone. "You won't believe what I found." Her eyes sparkled with interest. "What is it?" "I discovered a hidden passage in the library. Inside, I found documents detailing Chief Adewale's corrupt dealings and a diary belonging to his late wife. It reveals his broken promises and betrayal," he explained, his voice tinged with excitement. Olana's expression shifted from curiosity to determination. "This could change everything, Nnamdi. We must use this information wisely. The community needs to see the truth." As they strategized under the stars, Nnamdi felt a renewed sense of hope. The tide was turning, and with every step they took toward justice, the Kasimu family's empire would begin to crumble. But they needed to act fast and with precision. One misstep could jeopardize everything. With their plans set in motion, Nnamdi felt a surge of anticipation. The game was afoot, and the hidden secrets of the Kasimu family would soon see the light of day. Together, he and Olana would ensure that those who had caused so much pain would finally face the consequences of their actions.